Hey everybody, I'm Holly Martins. I'm a real estate agent here in the great state of New Jersey, and I'm sitting with my favorite photographer, good friend, Tim Gerds with TFG Products. I'm so happy he's here with us today because we've been talking about doing this for, I don't know, a year now, Tim, and it's finally
Oh, yeah.
happening. Welcome.
It's great to be here finally.
So I know that you are a very busy bee, and we've got you driving all over New Jersey and New York sometimes too now, right? You're
Oh,
doing
yeah.
real estate photos, you're doing videos. Are you doing drones yet officially?
This year we're doing
Excellent. And
drones.
now you're doing virtual staging as well.
Oh, a ton. And 360 virtual tours, and of course floor
Yes.
plans. So,
Yes, and I
yep,
actually met
yep.
you 5 years ago now, I think, when you were working for Planomatic.
Yeah. That was,
It's a whole lifetime
and
ago.
I remember telling you, I remember saying you were like, I'm going to hire you. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I don't want to steal you from them. So, and you kept hiring me through Planomatic, but, then finally I was like, goodbye,
Yes, you're on
Planomatic.
your own.
Hello, Holly.
And it's perfect. And I don't know how you sleep because you're always running around and you're always editing.
Yes. My wife says that a lot too. Where are you, honey?
Hi, we're here. So, tell me a little bit about the products and the services that you offer, like just quickly but in depth.
Sure. I mean, primarily, photos are number one. That's really the main thing that keeps my business going. But with COVID, the virtual tours were very popular. They're still pretty popular now, just giving people a chance to walk through houses without actually walking through the house. Floor plans are very strong. I do a lot of floor plans. And of course, video walkthroughs, which are always fun to do. So basically, photos, floor plans, virtual tours, and video walkthroughs. And on top of that, a lot of virtual staging.
Yeah, I mean, and your virtual staging looks great. And you and I often laugh about really bad editing. Like, one of my favorite things to send to you are what I call uranium photos. Like, where we see the overly edited Twilight photography and it looks like the house is going
Oh
to
yeah.
explode because it's so aglow. Like, but you don't do that. You're good.
I did do one that I remember you commented on. I said, and you saw it, and you were like, "It's uranium sky," and I'm like, "No, actually, that's a legitimate sky. I captured that."
I'm just that good
And
of
you're
a
like, "No," I'm
photographer,
like,
Holly, that it happens to look like a Lisa Frank painting. No, but in truth, like, your
"Yeah,
work is great. But what I love about you is that you are no BS, you are punctual, and you also get the photos turned around and everything turned around with the quickness. And, like, I've given your contact information to other people who have asked me from our own work together, like, who is this guy? How do I get in touch with him? So just know that you're doing a great job.
well, thank you." And well, that's a big thing. You got to get the photos out to the agents right away.
Yeah.
I mean, this business, it's like, I need the photos two
Right,
days
exactly.
ago,
Like, we do a lot.
and yeah, and boy, if I had a nickel every time I heard that, boy,
You'd have like 87
yeah.
nickels. That'd be great. One of the things that you and I always laugh about because we have warped senses of humor are like the craziest houses that we've seen together. And I know that we have seen some things. Um, we've seen some things, but I want you
Oh,
to
yeah.
tell me about the worst house you've ever been in, and then also tell me about the best house that you've ever been in. No
Okay.
pressure.
Worst house. I can tell you, it was a normal looking house from the outside. It was a small cape. It actually was very attractive on the outside, but the inside, the entire inside was painted a very hot pink, and there was no deviation from the pink. There was pink in every room. It was the same color, and it was a hot, disgusting pink. It was terrible.
Ceilings,
But
floors, everything.
everything, everything.
Doorknobs.
And the furniture was normal furniture, but the walls and everything. It was the same pink in every room. It was terrible. But the furniture was normal, except in the living room, there was a box that was like kind of in the corner. And I was trying to take decent photos of the room, And I said to the agent, I said, "Can we move the box?" No, we can't move the box. Why can't we move? It just looks like a cardboard box. And he says, "No, we can't. We can't move the box because there's. Well, let me show you." And he picks it up. There's a toilet underneath that's attached.
In the living room.
That is attached. I never got an explanation on this. I never got. I wanted to flush it just to see if it worked, but
So
it
this is the
looked like
functioning
it
toilet
worked
in the corner of a living room,
in the
and he
corner.
thinks the solution
Yep.
is just to put a box over it, which is
Put
not
a box
fair.
over it. And then he said, well, and then of course he said to me later on, he said, "Can we Photoshop that out and just make it a normal wall?"
Are you going to take the toilet
Um,
out, or are we just going to pretend that that's not an actual fixture?
I needless, basically what I did was I just shot around that, but I never got an explanation. I don't think the agent is working
Oh
anymore
no.
because this was about 2 years, 3 years ago. But it still boggles my mind. I every now and then I think about it and I'm thinking, why was there a toilet? And it was in the corner. I mean, it was not right in the center. So at least, they had the good sense to kind of put it to the side. But
Whenever you look like you're disassociating, we'll just know that it's you being haunted by the memory of the box.
yeah, yeah. When you see me just looking away and pondering, that's when I'm
Oh
pondering.
my goodness. I mean, that's a good one. That's all right.
Yeah, yeah. I've been waiting to tell you that one because even now I say it and I think it doesn't sound, but it is.
It's
It
not.
is. It is what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So
So what was the best house that you've seen?
I've done a lot. There are a lot of great houses that I've done that I not only take the pictures of those wonderful houses for the agent, but those are for me too because I love looking at them. I did one house in Ridgewood, not a huge house, maybe 2,500, 3,000 square feet. Um, it was actually a for sale by
Mm-hmm.
owner. The couple that lived there, their kids had moved out, one of those things, and they were selling. They had the most marvelous aesthetic I've ever seen. A lot of wood, a lot of very soft colors throughout the house, beautiful furniture. They took care
Mm-hmm.
of it. I mean, it wasn't a spec. You wouldn't walk in and go, "Wow," but you walked in and you felt you were at home. It was one of those houses that you walked in and you automatically gravitated
Yeah.
to everything in that house. That to me is the most beautiful kind of house. Um, I've done 100 beautiful houses, but that one stood out the most. We've done a couple
We
beautiful
have.
houses together,
We've done some bad ones. We've
really
done some
beautiful
really
houses.
cool ones. So like the Kinnelon, that contemporary, I love that one, and the Leonia baby that we just sold. Like I love that house too.
I love that one too. Yes. Oh,
And I think like
yes. Oh, that was
yeah,
delicious.
you have an interesting perspective, right? Because you're in real estate, you see a million houses, but you're strictly there for aesthetics. You're not there because you're worried about, plumbing, electrical inspections, appraisals,
Oh, yeah.
buyers. You're just there to like enjoy the view, and then like
Mhm.
make it a finished, polished product. So like you get the best part of it, in my opinion.
I do. I really do. And like I say to you all the time, I'm glad I do what I do and you do what you do because I get to, I come in, do, and
Get
I'm
it out,
done,
thank you,
you know.
bye.
But and yet you do it with a smile on your face and I love watching you with
Oh,
your
thank
clients,
you.
by the way. Uh, you are just so good with them. You
I
really
appreciate
are.
that. Thank you. It's like we're all trying to get through it, so we might as well make it an enjoyable process. Like it's going to be stressful. It's going to be a little chaotic. There are a lot of moving parts involved, but like it is what it is. So you just got to accept it and enjoy the ride. That's it. Ride the wave. One of the things that I will often text you about, aside from weird photography, is when individuals decide to not hire a photographer and just use their phone. This is this is one of my pet peeves. It makes me crazy because you are a very affordable service. Not you specifically, Tim. Like, yes, your rates are great, but like professional photography is not that expensive in the grand scheme of the money that's getting thrown around in a listing. So if somebody's not going to spend the couple $100 to invest in marketing a property that they're trying to sell, they're going to shortchange themselves. They're underselling the property. But you're the photographer, so I want you to speak more about that.
Drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. You walk in, you go on Zillow. I mean, I'm a nerd. I'm a Zillow nerd because I like to see what's going on and everything as far as the houses that are being listed. But you go on there and you see like a 4,000 square foot home with 7, 10 acres of property, and it's being listed for quite a fair amount of money. And then you see these photographs that are pointing up and pointing down and angled and blurry and like a picture of a toilet and uh, like a picture. Yes. I mean, I tell agents because there are some houses I know you don't want to hire me for because they're really not meant to be photographed professionally. They're, you know, so I tell them,
On some lights.
yeah, but I tell them, I'm like, take your time, keep the camera level. Don't take a picture of, a little corner of a room that nobody knows what it is. But oh my God, it drives me nuts. Oh my God. And my wife does it too. Every now and then, she'll do the whole Zillow surf thing just to see what's out there. And she'll be like, honey, come here, come here, come here, come here. Yeah, stay. Oh my God, can you believe this? Look at this, look at this. Ah,
You can do every service that you
yeah,
want. You can do the video walkthrough, 360. You can do drones, floor plans, Matterport tours. You can do everything. But even if you only do photos, do professional photos.
yeah,
I don't understand it.
yeah, yes. And I love how they take, they'll take 400 photos that are of the same room. Like it's like I'm not looking at anything different, and they're all terrible anyway.
We've got 15 of the living room and no kitchen to be found.
Yeah, yeah. Or my favorite is the one where like the agent like has a nephew who has a drone, and they get free photos from their nephew shooting the house with the drone, and it's all drone shots, nothing of the interior
Yes,
either.
yeah, it's like just the
And you're like,
property.
oh, wow, I'm looking at this beautiful wrapper, but what's inside?
Yes, that's a good way of putting
Yeah,
it. It's like I want to know. I want to know what's in the present.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, that's honestly, I think the biggest and easiest mistake to correct, um, from an agent's perspective. And we've had, sometimes there will be owners who insist on submitting their own photographs. It's
Sure.
like, oh, well, my garden looks spectacular in May and we're listing in October. It's like, okay, well, that's fine as an add-on if you want to show your garden.
Yeah,
Like, I get that, it's a showcase, but we still need to supplement that with professional
yeah.
photos. Or there are other sellers who just don't feel comfortable letting a photographer in the house, but that's a whole other can of worms,
Oh,
because how are we supposed to get buyers through if we can't even market your property
exactly,
appropriately?
exactly. That's why I'm always, amazed at how wonderful you are with your clients.
Thank you.
I,
But it's all, honestly, we're all there for
yeah,
them. That's it. Like, we're trying to get them across the finish line.
you're right.
So you're there, I'm there, we're there to support them.
Yep.
Tell me more about what happens on the back end with virtual staging. Let's say we have a vacant property, and vacant properties never sell as well as physically staged
Hmm.
properties. And virtually staged are kind of like in the middle of the two, because at least virtual photos give a sense of the space and you can kind of understand room dimensions, whereas if the room is totally vacant, you have no idea how to visualize what can fit in there.
Hmm.
So tell me about like your process with virtual staging and how it works.
When I first got into this business, virtual staging was still on it, very infant at that point. And it's taken a long time for it to really pick up because it's been around for a while, but it's never been good. And so I really just started getting into it because I finally acquired some proprietary software that really did the job. And I didn't want to do it until I was able to get this kind of software. Um, so now that I do it, when an agent comes to me and says, "Look, it's totally empty. I'm going to need it staged virtually. What can you do?" Well, first off, I take usually 5 times the amount of photos I need or the agent needs because I know that I am now going to have to get the right angle of the room to show and be able to put the virtual furniture in there. And then when I start to doing the staging, the main thing is to keep it simple. Um, that's when you see a virtually staged room that has tons of stuff in it, and yeah, ornamental stuff and different types of lamps and shades and pictures and weird furniture, everything, it totally detracts from the room. All you want to do is put simple pieces of furniture in there to show the size of the room, the relation to other rooms and things like that, and keep it simple. And that's the way I work it out when I virtually stage. Because once again, you want to show the room. You just want to show that there are things that can go in the room, and yeah.
Exactly. And virtual staging is the like the happy medium price point wise too.
Oh yeah.
So obviously you're just going to leave it a vacant space and you're not spending any money on getting it, ramped up. But again, you're not really giving it a full service either.
Exactly.
Or duck and what'll fit
Exactly.
in there. And if you can't spend $2,000, $3,000 to physically partially stage a house for a couple of months, then having virtual staging is that happy medium where you can convey the space, especially if you're supplementing it with floor plans,
Oh yeah.
and then you're tying that all together that way.
Oh,
So it's
absolutely.
it's definitely a good service to have.
Yeah. And like I said, it really hasn't. I haven't done it until this year because all the software out there and all the different companies that you could outsource to, and just weren't cutting it. It didn't look realistic. I mean, there were no shadows and the way light reflects off of it, and it's got to look real. I mean, if there's a slight hint that it's fake, people unconsciously people look at it and go, "Oh, oh, they're trying to pull the wool over my eyes. What are they doing?"
Yeah, and that ends up doing a disservice to the actual property because they're
Exactly.
getting sidetracked by the shenanigans that are going on with bad photoshopping and
Yeah.
staging.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Exactly. But I'm just glad I get to do it. And I'm just waiting for the new fad to happen. I know there's going to be something new, some kind of virtual VR glass or helmet thing or
I mean,
something.
people are dressing up as like horror characters or putting on Elvis costumes or like the inflatable T Rex thing. So to get attention on Zillow. So
I
maybe
know.
you could just do that.
I think
Why not?
I saw something that you put out there. Was it Freddie Meyer or something from Michael Myers? That's it, Michael Myers. Yes.
It's just a beautiful casual old farmhouse. Michael
Yeah.
Myers,
And I was
whatever.
clicking through it and I'm going, oh, this is whoa.
It's like in Indiana, but I'm looking at it in New Jersey because they're doing some crazy shit in their pictures. Like, whatever. Somebody will buy it.
So all right, now I got an idea for my next shoot. Okay. Yeah.
I think you and I have at least the most bonding time at properties in the time before the photos are taken. So like I always get there ahead of you. And usually when you walk in, I'm like drenched in sweat and I'm panicking because I'm running around trying to get the house ready. Sometimes I'm just, occasionally I'll open the door and I'm like, oh, hey, Tim, come on in. Because the sellers have knocked it out of the park. Everything is just so. They listen to my home stager. Everything's ready to rock and roll. So
Uh-huh.
most of the time, you see me schlepping boxes and
Yep.
running around like my hair's on fire.
That's why you are such a great agent.
It's because we're trying to get the job done.
Yep.
But tell me some of the things that you often see that, like I'm also cleaning up and I'm sure other agents are cleaning up too. The things that are pet peeves to you when you walk into a property and you're expecting to photograph it. What are the easy fixes that people overlook?
Outside, hoses are usually left out and they're not, organized or coiled properly. It seems like a silly thing, but when you see a draped hose that's kind of all over clumped in the property, I know that I'm going to have to get rid of it in post, and it's annoying. Um, Cars in the driveway, um, and a lot of times it's usually a car that won't start, and it's like, oh, and a lot of
Darn
times
Chevelle.
yeah, and a lot of times the agent will be like, can you Photoshop that out for me? And Like, well, it's a car. It's really hard to photo. I usually can, but it's. But the main thing is inside. It's clutter. Even if you have a lot of stuff in your house, if you just organize it, it doesn't have to be perfect. I would like it to be perfect. I mean, we all would like it to be perfect, but just organize the clutter, I mean, just put it, I mean, we accumulate stuff. It's what we do. It's what people do. We always accumulate. We're always, more stuff is coming in the house. And that's the way it is. So if you really can't get it out or put it in the closets or in the garage or whatnot, or clean, just organize it. Just set it so at least it's kind of not in the way. And people forget that, like, the camera sees everything. It really does. Just go through a house before I come and just think, if I was to photograph this, what would my camera see? The simplest way to put it.
Right. And then it's what would the camera see, and then what pictures are going to be on the internet
Yeah.
to market my house.
Yeah.
Because any photographs you're taking are going on Zillow, they're going on Realtor, they're going everywhere. They're getting published to the MLS hot sheets. Like, that's what everybody's looking at when they're deciding
Yeah.
whether they want to tour your house or buy it.
Thousands of people are looking at those photos. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
They're all doom scrolling online in bed. Like, that's what
they are.
everybody's doing.
Yep. Yep. I mean, you just got to think, okay, if I was looking at this house, what would I see if I looked at the pictures? So,
And
yeah.
ideally, like, you want to be able to convey the space, the natural light, the size of the rooms, the features in every room, not be distracted by the laundry on the floor or the unmade beds
Oh,
or all the dishes on the kitchen countertop. Like, those are the things that we don't see when we're living in them, because it's
yeah,
just part of our daily environment. And, like, very few of us live in museum showpiece houses because
that's for
of
sure.
lives,
Yeah,
life
yeah,
is messy. So it's easy to kind of overlook it when it's part of your day to day. But when
yeah,
you're looking at it from a critical outside perspective, that's where you start to see all of the stuff that you wouldn't necessarily pay attention to on the day to day.
exactly. I'm conveying this to you like, it's tough to clean a house and everything else, but also if you are selling your house, you have to have the mindset, oh my God, I gotta make this place shine. I gotta make it shine. And that's why, I mean, well, first of all, I mean, I have a house prep checklist. I've given it to you, and I'm always like, please convey this to the people. You know, toilet seats down, fix your light fixtures, stuff off the sink, all the stuff on your refrigerator, get it off. You know, basic common sense ideas, but people don't think that because there's, like you said before, with all the stuff in selling a house, there's a lot of stuff, of paperwork that has to be done. The aesthetic is kind of secondary at that point in these sellers. So it's understandable.
Yeah. And there have been a few times where I know, I'm sure this has happened with other agents, where, like, you and I will get to a property and it's so far gone that we end up rescheduling because it's
Oh,
just,
yeah.
there's no way to salvage it. And, like, I'm not going to improperly market a house. It's not, you can't Photoshop construction, like,
I know.
only so much that both of us can do. I appreciate that about you, is that, like, you're honest and you're not going to just be like, oh no, it's fine, just to get the job done. Like, you'll be critical of it. Like, hey, no, this is not appropriate. Like, this isn't gonna get off the runway.
Exactly. And a lot of times, I mean, especially with a lot of agents that I work with, when things like that happen, I know it's not the agent's fault. The good agent is always on the customer and saying, look, we have to get this ready. We have to get this ready. A lot of times the seller is like, yeah, it'll be ready. It'll be ready. And then the agent gets there. And I always feel bad because the agent looks at me and goes, I, I wanted to get it
Right.
ready. So what am I gonna do? Of course,
I mean, you've helped me move boxes before, Tim. Like, we've made it happen.
Oh, and a lot of times I want to move boxes because some of these houses, it's like, oh God, this is beautiful. I want to shoot it now.
Mm-hmm.
So, but like I said, watching you though, I see you do it a lot of times, boy.
Right. I mean, I'm thinking, like, we have one customer who was selling her investment property, and she's 90, I believe, and 80 pounds soaking wet, and, like, the most adorable person on the planet. And she was trying to help me move boxes out of the way because her tenant was moving out. What are you doing? No, please stop it. Like, you and I are just schlepping everything for her. But, it's like, I appreciate when the clients understand the necessity of why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yes, we understand the goal here.
Hmm.
But thank you for also stepping into the fray with me to get it done, because it's it's not always a seamless process.
Hey, that's part of the job. That's always happy to help.
Thank you. I'm trying to think, like, did we have any other topics that were on my list? We talked about staging, we talked about photos, we talked about bad houses and good houses. Do you want to give me another bad house and another good house?
What was that one house that we did? That one,
The dollhouse that
the
couldn't even go on the
dollhouse.
MLS, that one.
That was one of those that, yeah, I remember walking into that and you just looking at me going,
Yeah, that was
I
a
don't
lot.
know.
Yeah. So the seller
Yeah,
on that house is a collector of action figures, and there were probably what, like 500 of them.
thousands.
They were in every room, every shelf was lined with him, and they're all like meticulously just so. But from a
And
visual perspective, it was completely overwhelming.
oh, but the thing is, he had some that were out of the box, but he had like 90% of them were in the box. I gotta respect the guy, but
And then from a liability perspective, we ended up not even putting interior photos online,
yeah,
because my broker was worried that if somebody saw them, they might try and break into the house.
you're right. Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
We did
Yeah,
all of that moving and running around for nothing.
yeah, that was, yeah, I felt bad about that. I felt bad.
So that was a tough one. But you know what? We still
Yeah.
got it sold, and you still took lovely photos in spite of it all.
Woo!
Oh my gosh.
Well,
I have a question for you.
oh,
You see a ton of houses. What is one trend that you are very tired of seeing? Or more than one trend?
there's a sign that everybody has in their kitchen.
Is it live, laugh, love?
It's either live, actually, there's a couple live, laugh, love, gather, and this was the house that love built.
Do you have a tally sheet that you keep for like every time you
Yeah,
see one?
I do, actually. I do. Yeah, and a lot of times I can walk into a house, and before I even go in the kitchen area, I can tell whether or not they're going to have one of those signs in there or not.
It's like that
And
Johannigans modern farmhouse look.
yeah, oh yeah. Occasionally, though, I'll walk in the door. I'll be like, "Oh yeah, they've got the gather sign in there," and
Placing
I
bets
bet
with
they have it in
yourself.
there. And every now and then, I'll be like, "Yes!" And the agent will look at me like, "What? Yes."
Nothing, nothing. Everything's fine.
Yeah, gather, live, laugh, love, and this was the house that love built. Always in every kitchen.
Which is funny because, like, they're endearing signs and the messaging is great, but like everybody has it. It kind of loses
Yeah.
the specialness to it.
Oh, did I tell you? We have those in our kitchen too.
Shut
So
up, do you?
yeah,
I need a picture.
I'll send you one. I promise. I promise.
Are they all next to each other?
There in the kitchen. There's the gather. We have the gather one, and I think we have one that's all you need is love and a dog. I think next to it too. So
All right, idea. I'm going to start planting those in houses ahead of you. Is there. And then second offshoot idea is, instead of dressing as Elvis, can you have your dog dress as Elvis because your dog's a
oh,
crapshoot? Let's just do that.
we are going to be so big.
It's like a very weird little niche.
Oh, I am so in on that one. Definitely.
I'll have my people call your people. Any other design trends you're tired of? Or ones that you love? Like maybe new trends that are coming up that you're starting to see that you're very excited about.
The man cave is going the way the dodo,
Okay.
which is kind of good because man caves are always weird to shoot. They're hard to photograph.
They're very
Um,
dark and full of stuff.
they're very dark, and there's always a pool table that doesn't belong there, or a video game that doesn't belong there, or a TV that's way too big for the room.
But that's where
Um,
the fun
but
is.
yes. But I don't know. I mean, you've seen a lot of houses too. I mean, I think trends with home furnishings change every month.
Yeah, truly. They're all going so
Yeah.
fast. And one thing that I'm honestly glad to see going the way of the dodo, I'm just going to start using that now, is gray on gray on gray. I'm so tired. I recognize the
Yeah.
irony because the wall behind me is currently gray. This is painted 6 years.
Well, yeah, I've got kind of a, yeah, mine is a, yeah.
I see you.
Who are we to talk?
But I'm very happy to see color reintroduced into
Yeah.
homes. And that's like an argument, well, not an argument, but like one thing that I've been saying a lot to some of the builders that I know and some of the flippers that I know, like, we got to get some color in here. And truly, I can't stand seeing gray anymore. So seeing, and even white, we're seeing a departure from. Like, there's a lot more color being introduced. So that's making me very happy.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of transitional colors throughout the house. I really like that. I just did a house the other day that was really neat because it started with a very light blue. And as you progress through the house, the blue shades became either a different hue of blue, a little darker, a little more contrasty, but it was the same blue, but it was just a little bit different. It was very nice. Love that. I love that.
So I'm thinking back to the pink on pink house that we were talking about before, and we're talking about blue houses. So one discussion that I've had and my home stager Bernadette has had with sellers is like, if you have a room that is a very intense color, that's probably where your money is going to be well spent. You can get a can of paint for $40, cover that puppy up with something neutral. What's your opinion on brightly colored homes as far as photography is concerned?
Interior wise, the more pronounced the color, the more difficult it can be to shoot sometimes because when the light reflects, you get these things called color castings and it makes everything that color. So if you have a very, like yellows can be a real pain in the butt because when you have light reflected off of yellow, it makes everything in the room yellow. Really, any pronounced color works that way. Grays are fine for photography too in many ways because it's a neutral color. But the more pronounced the color is with more light on it, the color casting makes the room this kind of ambient color in its own. So the walls are yellow, but then the table, like a wooden table in the middle of the room, which is brown, actually now looks yellowish brown. So yeah, pronounced colors do pose a challenge, but they also make the room pop as well. I do like a good blue, especially for an accent wall.
Well, now you know what office.
Yeah, I see that gray
I
behind
know
you though,
it's very
definitely.
gray. We were really on trend when we painted. So one of the other things that I wanted to speak to you about, because now I'm thinking about color casting, is natural light in houses. So usually what I'm doing when I'm ahead of you is I'm like opening up all the blinds, I'm opening up all the curtains because we want to get as much natural light as possible and just help you because the overhead lights are
Mhm.
never adequate enough and they cast a lot of shadows. So normally when I'm speaking with sellers and we're in that home prep process, and Bernadette usually speaks about this too. Again, she's my home stager. It's trying to remove some of the heaviness in rooms and trying to allow the room to breathe as much as possible. So, and you talked about this with man caves too, like they're very dark and it's hard to photograph a dark space. So, would you consider, like we just talked about paint colors, would you consider removing like heavy valances to be something that would be helpful? Or is that kind of like a case by case scenario?
That's a case by case. But as far as letting natural ambient light through, oh, yes. The more ambient, the better. That's a big pet peeve of mine when I walk into a house and everything is closed and the curtains are all and they're dark curtains to begin with. It ruins it because and the agent will be like, "No, but all the lights are on."
That's the
Yeah, but then the ambient, it's not the same at all.
unless the
Um,
client's in witness protection, like you want to convey.
Yeah, I mean that natural light, it actually makes a house look younger inside, I find. That's one thing I do like working with you because the curtains are always open with you. Always. When we do a shoot, I never have to worry about anything like that. Oh yeah, that ambient light is everything.
And like
Every,
again, like I'm actually sitting in my son's bedroom right now because despite the fact that I love natural light, I live in a very very dark house and this is the brightest room in my entire house. Otherwise it would look like I was coming live from a cave. So I get
nice.
it. It's important. because you think about it, like we can't even have a virtual conversation without good lighting. Like again, how are you going to convey a space if you can't see what's in there?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I have tons of flashes and everything else for, lighting a house, but boy, it's such a treasure when you walk into a brightly lit house with sun. I love
What
it.
a
I love
novelty.
it. What a novelty, exactly. We did a dark house just recently, you and I, didn't we?
Was that the multi-family?
That was the multi-family because
Yeah,
yeah, that was
that was a little
yeah, that was.
tricky.
Now it's coming back. A lot of it's coming
It's
back to me
interesting. You
now.
start going through the portfolio. You're like, oh wait, we've done a lot. We've seen some things, Tim. We've seen some things.
Yeah, we have, and we hope to
Yes,
see
and we
more.
will. Whether or not we're ready for it, they will. They will keep on coming.
We're never going to be ready for it.
All right. So while we're on this subject, and just because we're being a little silly at this point, tell me the coolest thing you've ever seen in a house, like object wise, and the weirdest or worst thing you've ever seen in a house.
This was not too long. This was about 2 months ago. This house had a. It was. I mean, it was not a part of the house. It was just a. It was a large house. First of all, let me put it to you that way. They had a globe that was about 8 feet wide. A globe. It was amazing. It was amazing. It,
Were all of the countries up to date?
yeah, actually, it looked like it was recently made, but it was this. It was just yeah. It was about 8 feet wide, huge globe in a mount. I mean, the house was
Yeah, I mean,
big.
if you
Let
can
me
have an eight
because
foot
the room.
globe, then you need to have the space for it. Otherwise, it's too much.
Yeah, yeah. It was gorgeous. It was just an amazing. I'll send you the picture of that because I took a couple pictures. It was very interesting. But as far as like after a while, a lot of houses become a blur because even if they're spectacular, unless they're totally unique themselves, they are in many ways the same. There's so many spectacular houses I've seen, I can't keep track. A lot of times I have to go through old photos and because I mean, when you do 600 shoots a year, you start
You
to get
poor thing.
yeah, yeah, it's a blur.
That's a very good problem to have, though.
That's true. I'm very lucky to be doing what I'm doing. I really am. To get paid to do something that you love, wow, that's you really can't. You
And
can't
then
at
you get
all.
some great storytelling along the way, too.
And I've met some very
Yes,
nice people
it's a
along the way
bonus. They
too.
all seem lovely. I don't know who they are.
Everyone.
All right. Well, do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I'm good.
Me too.
I'm more of a fog right now because I've got like 50 things in the air right now. So this was actually nice. This was like time for me to
Yes,
sit
like
and kind of
decompress a
relax
little
a little.
bit.
So very much so. Very
All right.
much so.
Well, then that's it for now. But I'm glad that we finally did this, and I'm happy that we get to
I know.
banter on an official basis. It's
Yeah, exactly. Now they've recorded our weirdness.
been
Now we're recorded.
documented.
Hey, how was
It
your
was
holiday, by the
lovely.
way?
It was lovely. The kids
Good.
got bunk beds. They're very excited. We have had no injuries on it to date
Nice.
yet, and yeah, now it's just the cleanup recovery mode.
Very nice. Very nice. We did the family thing and very nice to see everybody and had
Good.
a
I'm
good time.
glad. All right. Well, I'll see you at the next listing, and
Yeah, I hope
my
so.
working clothes on. We're ready to go.
Yeah. Well, look, you take care
It
of
was good
yourself,
to
my
see you.
dear.
All right.
Same here. What do I do?
Oh, you're back. Hey.